Hey, Oz.
Hey, Curtis.
Hey, what movie we watching this week?
Ooh, we're watching The Love Child of Cabin in the Woods,
Mhm.
Idle Hands, and The Three Stooges. The Three Stooges movie. The one with Will Sasso.
Yo, the good one.
Yeah, the good one. This week we're watching Evil Dead 2. Yeah,
That's a great movie marriage, by the way. Oh, you really nailed that one.
I figured The Cabin in the Woods was a gimme.
Yes.
For me, it was like which dismembered hand do I want to go with?
Yeah.
like I don't want to go with Addams Family.
Yes.
I could have gone really current meta and just gone with Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I'm like, nah, let's get some Devon Sawa love in there. Let's get Idle Hands.
It's not an episode without Devon Sawa.
And then I just wanted to reference the Will Sasso Three Stooges movie.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, there's lots of fake shemps in this. Yeah,
there are a lot. So, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme and just have fun talking about a movie that satisfies that theme.
That we do.
I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'm the other host, Curtis.
And before we get going into characters, we always want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers. Thank you, Don S., Melissa L., Aaron A., and Mandy K. for your continued patronage to our hard work and determined podcast.
Mm-hmm. Hard work. It takes me 60 hours of prep for every episode.
I don't think you understand how many times I watch the movie each week, just so we can talk about it.
I just have it on a loop. I put a VR headset on when I sleep and then just loop it there.
Yeah, that's all we do. So, but yeah, we are back to talk about Evil Dead 2 because it is sequels better than the original month. Mm-hmm. We are in week 3.
Yes, another one that some could deem controversial.
Oh, definitely. It depends more if you like your horror or if you like your comedy.
Yeah. That's
because this movie's not scary. Like,
oh no.
You know, there's even the first time I watched it, I remember it being fun, but I don't remember like being afraid of it. Mm-hmm. Like the original Evil Dead, yeah, there's some real creepy and disturbing parts of that movie, but this is more like we're funny guys though. Let's have fun.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the IMDb ratings. This one has a 7.7 IMDb rating. The original is at a 7.4.
Yeah, and I think that's probably fair. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because this is, I mean, I don't think there's anybody could argue, regardless of whether you prefer or not, I don't think anybody could argue this is the better film. Like, you know, the other one was very much independent student film feel to it.
Yeah.
Just very effective. This is, we've got a budget, so we actually have some gear now. Mm-hmm. We don't, we have a device. Yeah, we have a device that will move our camera along at a low level. We don't have to attach it to a 2x4 and then carry it through the woods.
And literally grease the 2x4 and slide the camera
on. Exactly. So, this definitely, the ingenuity of the first one has been lessened by the budget of this one.
Yes. Although there's still a lot of creativity that they use to film this.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. That's just Sam Raimi. It's almost like, now that I don't have to be creative with those elements, what can I be creative with now?
Yeah.
So, all right, what do we got for characters?
Yep, it's your week, Oz. So you got the plot, I got the characters. First of all, I just want to give a mention. This movie was co-written and directed by the great Sam Raimi, and one of the first films that featured K&B special effects. So,
I don't think I knew that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That makes sense.
It makes complete sense. So, you know, an incredibly strong creative team behind this movie. Mm-hmm. So the lead character, we've got Ashley Ash Williams, played by the one and only Bruce Campbell. If chins could kill.
Yeah, Briscoe County Jr. himself.
Supporting character in Darkman. I think he was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually, Spider-Man 3 was on TV last night. And my son even goes, I don't think I've ever seen Spider-Man 3, which, why would you?
Yeah.
But it was the part where where Peter goes to the fancy French restaurant and he was going to propose to MJ.
Yeah.
And of course, Bruce Campbell's the maitre d'. So I got to experience Bruce in his nice French accent.
Mm-hmm. Although I did appreciate the Bruce Campbell cameo in the latest Doctor Strange film. Kind of
I did too.
An uneven film. However,
yes,
that part I thought was.
Isn't he the hot dog vendor?
Yeah, who's just repeatedly punching himself in the face.
yeah. Well, Sam Raimi directed.
Yeah, and then fourth wall breaks right at the end.
Yeah.
So we got Ash, the lead character throughout all of the Evil Dead films. We have early on in the movie, we have his girlfriend Linda, played by Denise Bixler, who at one time was married to Steve Guttenberg.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Then we have a handful of other characters who kind of seed themselves in throughout. So we've got Annie Knowby, played by Sarah Berry, who's got an absolute great scream, Oz.
Oh, she does have a good scream.
We'll fill out the Knowby family. We have Professor Raymond Knowby, played by John Peaks, and his wife Henrietta Knowby, co-played by Lou Hancock and Ted Raimi. So Raymond and Henrietta are the owners of said cabin in the woods, and whose resuscitations of the Necronomicon pull the demons into our dimension. We have Annie's professional partner, Ed, played by Richard Domier. And then we have a couple locals. We have Jake, played by Danny Hicks, and Bobby Joe, played by Cassie Wesley.
And these two, these two, I feel like Jake is the only man in town.
Yes,
because Bobby Joe,
whatever he did to land Bobby Joe, I mean, good for Jake, man.
No kidding. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a tow truck company he's got.
Yep. and
so
the one construction like tripod or whatever those are called. He has one that he sets out. Road's out.
Well, the other one's elsewhere. Yeah. He's got just the one.
It's on the other side of the bridge.
All right. So plot wise,
let's get into that deep layered plot of Evil Dead 2.
Don't you may confuse this with Inception as you're watching it.
Yes, a lot of
layers.
Dreams within dreams within dreams. Evil Dead 2.
But really, the first question one would have when watching this, especially if you've seen the first one, is this a pseudo remake?
Mm-hmm.
Because the movie kicks off with just Ash and Linda going to an abandoned cabin in the woods. Now, if you've seen Evil Dead, like we have, we've already seen Ash and others at this cabin. So, is Ashley an idiot?
Well, I think the answer to that is clearly yes, regardless.
but is he an idiot and takes his new girlfriend to the place of destruction?
Yes.
Where, hey, this is where my last girlfriend, my sister, and all my friends died. or is this or is this a wipe the table and start over? I don't know. And it doesn't really matter.
I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
to every question.
to both questions. So, but based on the choices made, I think it's fair to say that this is Evil Dead 2, but the events of Evil Dead 1, instead of showing them again, we're just kind of tighten it up.
Yep.
And, introduce the same story it's really almost a prologue in a way.
Sure.
And so, Ash and Linda are, he gives her the locket, and they find the tape from the archaeologist. They play the tape.
Yep.
They recite passages from the Book of the Dead because what do people love to do on a romantic getaway? Read. They love to read.
Read from a book bound in human flesh.
Yeah, it's look at the aesthetic of this novel. Yes. Let's read it.
So they end up at said cabin in the woods.
Yes,
and they find this book, Oz, and there's a reel to reel there, correct?
Yeah,
and Ash gets curious and plays the reel to reel, and that's when we hear Professor Nobi's voice.
Right. So yeah, they're playing. They're reading. They're playing. Long story short, they wake up an evil force, the Kandarian demon. Which we get a really fun sequence because this demon basically just smashes into things.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's all POV, so it's all from the.
Oh yeah, that's just what I was gonna say. He's got a film camera for eyes and just crashes through walls and windows, and he kills Linda, possesses Linda.
Yes,
that is in the correct order, by the way.
He kills
possesses her and then possesses her.
Yes.
It's like the conversation they had in The Running Man, where she's standing at like the vending machine when they rock Ben Richards by, and like, did he, he'll kill you then rape you, or then rape you then kill you, or it's like, no, in this one he kills you, like she's killed and then possessed, which turns her into a Deadite and a very Juilliard-worthy ballerina performance from with a spit. Just the effects of this, bar none, make this movie so much fun.
Yeah, Ash is watching from the window. He's watching from the window, and I think I might be getting things out of order in my head here. So she's
it's okay.
It doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So is it he goes to look for her because her body's not in the room, so he goes outside.
Right.
And she just pops up.
Yeah.
Eyes all white. Yeah, like
yeah. So yeah, he decapitates her. But not before like she flashes back to normal Linda and begs. And Ash is such an idiot. Like you just watched her like fully demon out on you, and then like transforms back and Ash, please don't. And he seriously is like, maybe I didn't see things correctly. No, he decapitates her with a shovel.
With a shovel. I love the little like the transitions here. Like he decapitates her with a shovel, and it's her head rolling on the ground, which rolls into the camera.
Right.
Cut to him like the shovel burying the in the same place where the head was, like digging the turning the last bit of dirt over in the grave, the makeshift grave that he's made for her.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. It's the similar style of editing in this little piece that we saw, like in the Road Warrior.
Yeah,
or in Mad Max, in Mad Max, where is that kind of like beach scene when Toe Cutter was coming, like that kind of where they used creative cuts to tell a multi-minute piece in just a few seconds. Like it was, I really enjoyed that too. Yeah, he buries her near the cabin, and that's it. Like that's the end of the movie. Ash moves on. Nope, just kidding. She pops up like she's doing this, like, like just dance. It's all stop motion, which is just terrific.
Well, and her body has started to decompose just a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and then it's her head, which is still her regular human head.
Right.
Oh, it's such a great scene. I in the commentary for this movie, they said they hired some old like dance teacher that they knew back in their like Michigan days to choreograph.
Snowy Winters was the ballerina that did the dance, but yeah.
To like choreograph this scene, and it's all like the body spins and like the head spins the other way. It's so great.
Yeah, it is, and I love when she just bounds out.
And she just disappears into nothingness.
Yeah, it's so like Peter Pan, just fantastic. It's just so much fun. And so Ash basically has to survive the night. Well, at dawn, these evil forces, they didn't go away. We get this fun, again, POV shot of Ash just being thrown through the woods.
Yes.
And he falls like he is saved by the dawn. Like he's saved by the sunlight. He falls like face first in a puddle, pops up. He's now possessed by a demon. But day breaks and he turns back to normal. Mm-hmm. So these clearly, the Kandarian demon and these evil forces can only do their work at night.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, why this movie's tagline is "Dead by Dawn." So,
Dead by dawn, dead by dawn. I will say,
and so
I love the sound of the demons, like the POV shot as it's moving through.
Oh, it's just this growl. Yeah, it's just this real low, like mechanical growl. And so Ash is finally the first great idea he's had. I got to get out of here.
Yeah,
I got to flee the area, and we're cutting out so much. Like at one point, like maybe it's later. Is it later? He's got Linda's head in the vice. Or is that's
a little later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like I got to get out of here. So he gets back in his Olds,
in the Raimi mobile, which appears in every single Sam Raimi movie. Apparently, even in the Quick and the Dead, the rumor.
I was going to say, including Quick and the Dead,
they dressed it up as like a stagecoach or something.
Yeah. And so he hightails out of there. Well, he gets back to the bridge, the only bridge to cross to get to this cabin, and the bridge has been destroyed.
Yeah. And it's now like the steel girders are like pointed at Ash.
Yeah,
and it looks like a hand. Yeah, it's such a fun little miniature.
And so, hold on a second. Alarm's going off on my phone.
We got the 16-minute mark there. If you're curious.
No, it's just alarm. I could care less about that. And so, so this evil spirit, but again, it's daytime now.
Yeah.
But this evil spirit chases him back to the cabin.
Well, it's kind of duskish. Like
that's
back,
true.
And it's got that like weird.
It's
clear he's in front of like a green screen or something.
Yeah,
but
that chasing sunset kind of thing.
Yeah, and then like you see the demons sort of almost like crawl up. Like the face of the cliff by the bridge there, and then just start chasing him back to the car and chasing him as he's driving, and then it's just pitch black. Like it goes from like dusk to it's just pitch black, and he's driving through the woods,
which is just crazy. It's like we don't know like how far it was from the cabin to the bridge, but like he left at dawn.
Yeah,
like as soon as he realized I got to get out of here. So it's like this day cycle, it feels like it eclipsed in like 5 minutes.
I'm just thinking of when he realizes the bridge is out, you get that great, like, that's kind of when you really get like the Bruce Campbell acting here that really kind of starts winking at things, and you're not sure if he's legit trying to be funny or if it was just kind of an acting fail. But like he bangs his hand on the car hood, he just oh no,
I know it's oh no,
no.
Like you could. This is one where you could mute the movie and still understand the agony he's going through. He's such a physical actor. And so the spirit chases it back to the cabin. Linda's not dead yet. Well, she's dead, but she's not gone yet. Her head like comes back and attacks him. Bites his hand. Like he's just still knocked down, drag out with the Deadites and the Kandarian demon forces or whatever. Runs to the tool shed. Goes in there and he's right, and he's looking for he goes in and it's like this is one of these tool sheds where whoever, I guess it'd be the Nobies, like does a chalk outline of where all the tools go in the shed, because he looks up and he notices
So in the meantime, the head is just biting his hand and not letting go. And prior to this, like he's just banging the head on the books and on the door. and I love the sound effects of the head. You just hear this little cackle and then like a crunch sound, like it's biting down harder on his hand. Like
I would have watched a full movie of just Ash battling the demons.
Yeah.
Like I would have watched don't bring in Annie and Ed and Jake and Bobby. I would have just watched the entire thing with this.
It just like the Pratt falls, like he gets outside on his way to the shed. He just like stumbles down the stairs and like these wood crates that are next to the stairs.
It's all it was missing was like a giant pane of glass being carried through the scene for him to fall through,
or like a banana peel to slip on.
Exactly, yeah. And so he's in the work shed and he looks up and he notices the chalk outline of a chainsaw, and but again, no chainsaw. And that's where Linda's headless body attacks him with a chainsaw. But he overpowers her and then like slashes Linda, the Deadite Linda, like gets her killed. But now, because Deadite Linda's bit his hand, he finally gets her head off by clamping it in a vice.
Yeah.
Which then it reverts back to normal Linda's head. Ashley, please. No.
Please, Ash.
And of course, Ash, being the idiot he is, he looks at, oh no.
No.
He's still in love with this dismembered head of Linda's. And so, because Linda bit his hand, his right hand becomes possessed.
Yes.
And now his hand tries to kill him, which just, I mean, kudos to Bruce Campbell to pull stuff like this off. And so he takes the chainsaw and cuts his own hand off, and then tries to shoot his hand with a shotgun. And his right hand's got an attitude.
Yeah. We got the Three Stooges sequence in the kitchen too.
Yeah, we're just smashing dishes on his head. And...
Yeah, the hand is just like punching him in the stomach and in the face,
right?
And like all these like unfired ceramics that are in the kitchen,
just laying around. Yeah,
and I love the sequence where like Ash is knocked out and the hand's like looking around for what to do, and then you see like the hand's POV as it spots a meat cleaver on the other side of the room.
It starts dragging him across the room.
And then Ash plunges a knife into the hand and starts like talking smack to the hand.
I know. He just starts laughing at it.
That's right. Who's laughing now?
He's just completely lost it. And you don't blame him. Like, he's, again, brings back to there's no way, really, there's no way the events of Evil Dead have happened to Ash. Like, this is not take two. This is redo. Like, it has to be. Which is fine because they are successful standalone. But I could easily see where some would get confused calling this the sequel when you're like, wait a minute, I already saw him there, but where's everyone else? But it's fine. And so, he's just having this fight with his hand. And the hand, like, of course, flips him off and eventually escapes. Like, so he's left handless and just bloodied and beat. I mean, it's just a mess. Then we cut to Professor Noby's daughter, Annie. They are also archaeologists. They've returned from a dig, and thankfully they have some missing pages of the Necronomicon. That's good because that's what the book needed was more pages.
Yes, more reading.
So they're headed to the cabin because I'm under the assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong, Annie is not aware that her parents are gone.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So Annie.
She just thinks they're there, and she's going to bring the pages, and they'll continue their research as a family, along with Ed.
Right.
Annie's research partner.
Right, and so they get to the bridge. Of course, they see the bridge is destroyed. So that's the only way to the cabin. They have no idea that Ash is at the cabin. They have no idea about the Kandarian demons.
Because Ash just took Linda there. Like, he was aware of this cabin. They didn't rent it out. They didn't Airbnb it. They just showed up. Nobody's here. And even Linda at the beginning is like, "What happens if they come back?" And he's like, "Nobody's coming here, baby."
He's such a putz.
That's the perfect word. He is just a putz.
It's just
nobody's coming here.
Nobody's coming here, and he's bobbing his shoulders around. And,
hey, let's see, I'm a man. At least last time I checked.
Oh,
just
man,
an idiot.
Yeah, very much so. And so they, like I said, Annie and Ed get to the bridge. They can't cross the bridge, so they go get a local. This is where Jake and Bobby Joe show up.
Bobby Joe.
Sorry. It's okay. It's fair. But they show up because there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way to the cabin. So that's where these four come into play. Yes. Is they get to the cabin where this is where they find things are not how they envisioned them when they arrived. Ash is there, covered in blood. They think Ash murdered, because of course, Professor Nobi and his wife aren't there.
Yeah.
So they just assume Ash has murdered.
Well, yeah, the place is trashed. And they see a bloody chainsaw in the corner. So it doesn't take a large leap, jump to conclusion here to assume that this stranger just chainsawed her parents.
Right. So they chuck him in the cellar, lock him in the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the great idea of, now that that's taken care of, let's go ahead and listen to more recording. Which this is where they find out, after listening to the recording, that, that these recordings and the book, this is how Henrietta died. She was possessed by a Kandarian demon and is buried in the cellar. Mm-hmm. Like, where our hero is.
What's in my root cellar?
Yeah. Henrietta played just perfectly by Sam's brother Ted. I love Ted Raimi.
Yeah, me too. Just big goofball.
Yeah. So Henrietta, et cetera, she ends up possessing Ed because there's really no reason for Ed. There's really no reason for Ed, Jake, or Bobby Joe other than just body count. And so, Ed gets possessed. But Ash takes care of Ed.
Some cool moments in there as well.
Oh yeah,
like Ed's just like floating as he's possessed, and Henrietta's just like banging on the cellar because they got Ash out of there, but they were still able to trap Henrietta down there. Now I will say, not before they stomped. Was it Jake stomped on the cellar door, popping out one of Henrietta's eyes, which flies directly into Bobby Joe's mouth.
Oh yeah, it's a POV shot of it flying.
The eye POV.
So they, like you said, they get Ash out of the cellar. Ed gets possessed. Nobody knows what to do, but now this is where Ash has a chance because he has experience now. So this is where he inadvertently steps into the hero role because we've seen him pretty much victimized by the demon all along. But now that there's others around that have no clue, Ash steps up and he takes Ed out with an axe. We get another homage to the original. Bobby Joe takes off through the woods, which we know these woods are also part of the evil force. So she gets attacked by the possessed trees. And they drag her. I mean, she's gone. So Bobby Joe doesn't live long. But we do get a great Jake, close up shot of him yelling for her out in the woods. Bobby Joe!
Bobby Joe! As the demon is rushing towards him, Bobby Joe!
It's like this actor that played Jake. Like, good for him.
He's popped up in some other Raimi stuff as well.
And I like that. Like, we've commented before, I really do like it when you got a director that, like, stays true to his people, because this is still early Raimi.
Yes, very early Raimi.
But for them to still throw out roles to his people, like, Peter Jackson does that a lot, too. Yeah. Like, people from early Peter Jackson stuff showing up in, Lord of the Rings and things like that. I was like, good for you, PJ. And so, where'd I left off? Oh, there they go. So Annie goes back because she's smart enough to realize that this book has something to do with it.
Yes.
So she goes back. She's translated a couple more pages, from the book. But local idiot Jake, he's out for himself. So he turns on him.
These pages don't mean squat.
and he chucks him down to the cellar with Henrietta.
Yeah.
And then the only one he's concerned about, of course, is Bobby Joe. So forces Ash and Annie are only, because really these are the only three left.
Yeah.
Forces Ash and Annie. They got you. You got to go find Bobby Joe. And so they're out in the woods, held at gunpoint. Looking for Bobby Joe. Ash again gets possessed.
Turns again.
Turns again. Attacks Jake.
Picks Jake up like over his head.
Oh yeah.
And, like spears him like head first into a tree.
So we are under the assumption that evil Ash has just killed Jake.
Yeah.
Annie takes off back to the cabin because she's really about the only sensible person in this movie.
She really is the only one who like legit like has common sense and smarts. And she really is the hero of this film.
So she takes off back to the cabin. And she's ready, for whoever comes through the door.
She grabs, amongst all of the other things that the Nobi family has collected, there's a
Kandarian dagger.
Yes, dagger, which is basically like a sharpened like spinal column.
Exactly.
With a tiny skull head on the top.
Right. And so so she's assuming evil demonic Ash is going to be coming through the door, but it's Jake.
It's Jake. Poor Jake.
So she stabs Jake with this, this
right in the
demon
torso,
dagger.
like right in that that spot right below your sternum, like where your that open space between your ribs there.
It hurts there.
That's not a spot. That's not a spot you would have a dagger plunged 6 inches into your cavity.
Yeah.
And I love the look on his face as he just
it's just so cheesy, but it's so great.
He does a great job like acting like he's just in agony.
All the time. I mean, aside from looking like he hasn't
I can't breathe.
Aside from looking like he hasn't showered since June.
Yeah.
But so she stabs Jake. Henrietta finishes them off.
Well, Annie drags Jake with this knife, like plunged 8 inches into him, right next to the
exactly to the cellar door.
To the cellar door, and Henrietta just grabs him and drags him in.
Yeah, and so Jake's gone. Now Deadite Ash shows up again. Mm-hmm. And we've got it's really down to evil Ash, and he's got Annie on the ropes. He's gonna kill her. But then he sees Linda's necklace, the necklace that he gifted to her.
Yes.
Right. And instantly returns back to normal. Because the only thing that could beat a Deadite is the power of love.
True love.
Marriage. And so, so now we're back on the same team. Ash and Annie, Double A, Arn Anderson, they're at it.
Arn and Tully Blanchard.
Right, here we go. We got 2 of the 4 horsemen remaining. So they come up with a plan. Like Annie helps Ash. They're going to modify this chainsaw because again, Ash is still working with a stump here. So they attach the chainsaw to his right arm that's missing a hand. Mm-hmm. And then they, cut off the barrel of the shot. So Ash is armed now. Chainsaw in one hand, sawed-off shotgun in the other. And because we have to go down to the cellar and get those missing pages.
Groovy.
Yeah. It's so cheesy, but it fits this movie.
It does.
If they would have dropped a Groovy in Evil Dead 1, it would have been a mess.
No, it wouldn't have worked.
It fits this one perfectly. And, of course, Army of Darkness fits that as well.
Yeah, even more so.
And so they go down to the cellar. Ash is now armed. We have a really fun fight with Ash and Henrietta.
Yeah.
Ted Raimi in a rubber suit, but it's still so gross.
Yeah.
It's just, so we've got this fight going on. Like, the demons are realizing, I think, that they're on their edge because the trees outside are starting to, just pummel the house. Like, everything is, attack. Like, they're attacking the cabin. Ash beats down Henrietta, but it's like, we don't feel comfortable that they've won.
Yeah.
So Annie reveals she's only read half of the incantation.
And it's the first half is what takes the demons and manifests them into flesh.
Right. And so, she hasn't read the second half. So she is attempting to read that second half, which we assume is going to shut everything down. It's going to put them back in their place. And as she's reading it, Ash's severed hand arrives, using that same dagger that she buried into Jake, and stabs her in the back. And so we're like, no. As a viewer, we're like, oh, you were so close. She does, however, manage to finish reading.
Yes, with her dying breath.
Yeah, before she dies. Just so convenient that that's the exact amount of breath she had left. And when she does, this finishing the incantation opens up this whirlpool vortex,
like a
thing
rift.
It sucks all the bad into this vortex, but it also pulls in Ash and his car
and the car.
I don't
the Raimi mobile,
right? Like, is all this still? Have they left the basement yet?
Yeah, they're back in the main. They're in the main part.
So
of the cabin.
They killed Henrietta. They got the pages. They went back into the cabin. This is where the hand attacked. Yeah. So everything gets all demonic forces get pulled into this vortex, including Ash and his Oldsmobile Delta 88. Which then we cut to an entirely different setting.
Yes.
Where the car comes crashing down. We find out we're now in the Middle Ages. And, a group of knights on horses, they confuse him for a Deadite. Why wouldn't you? I mean, he looks nothing like them. He's got a shotgun and he's got a chainsaw. So they confuse him for a Deadite because apparently it sucked. I'm guessing that the time loop here is off. Like, I'm assuming the Deadites were not there in the Middle Ages. I'm assuming that when the vortex pulled them all back, this is when they struck. I don't know.
Well, I get the impression that the Deadites were there already.
Were there? Okay. Then maybe this is where it all started.
Because they saw the one winged Deadite fly in, and one of them, I said, they refer to it as a Deadite. So they named it. There's been some kind of history with these people.
I guess what I was getting at is I didn't know if the Deadites arrived back before Ash did, or if the Deadites were all
okay.
Or if the Deadites
were Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. Or if the Deadites were just always there, hence the archaeology dig.
Sure.
I'm not sure because obviously they've been there before Ash was there. I just don't know. I was curious if the vortex introduced them to the Middle Ages or returned them to the Middle Ages.
Sure. Okay, I see that.
But either way, this harpy comes flying in, and they all kind of cringe and go to hide, but Ash shoots it with a shotgun because, of course, shotguns are new to this world, and so now he's the hero, and it's such a cool parting shot because they're celebrating him as their savior, and at the same time, he is completely breaking down.
No.
Right. Because he's not escaped, and it's not over for him.
Yeah.
They've got a hero, but he's back in an age where he doesn't want to be. So.
Like the 13th century or something.
Yeah. And that's Evil Dead 2.
That's it.
Oh, I love this movie.
Oh yeah, it is such a fun movie. Again, probably a top 25er for me, easy.
Yeah.
A movie I really grew up on. All right, folks, we're at that point in the show where Oz and I each give our own unique rating to the film we've been talking about, in this case, 1987's Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Oz, Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give this 8 Kandarian daggers.
8 Kandarian daggers, there we go. Love it. I'm going to go with, let's go with, 89 Bobby Jones. Bobby Joe.
Oh, I love Jake.
He's the best part of this film. Oh, he's so greasy.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Next up, we got Outside Insights. Folks, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, looking for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bone, and hopefully will tickle yours as well. Oz, what's your Outside Insight?
All right. This is a month ago.
Okay. So recent.
Yeah, Yodo gave it a 5-star review. I love this
Yodo.
It's not a scary movie, nor a comedy movie. It's an A-word movie.
Okay.
How is a deer in a room laughing funny? And how is a wall full of blood scary? The actors were horrible, and the scene of Groovy is not even in the top 10,000 iconic moments. Hold on. The cinematography is a disgrace to the human race.
Disgrace to the human race.
I know. That was an insult I remember throwing out in grade school. You're such a disgrace to the human race.
The human race.
The cinematography is a disgrace to the human race. This movie should never be talked about. It should be forgotten. 1 out of 100 movie. I vomited watching this horrendous movie.
Vomited. It made me physically ill.
Right. This movie should never be talked about, as I say in my review of Evil Dead 2.
As I take the time to write the review of the thing that I don't ever want reference
Yeah,
again.
I just give me a moment to tell you how we shouldn't talk about this. But it's a disgrace to the human race.
It's a disgrace to the human race.
That line alone caught me as I'm like, oh man, such a like an immature, like childish insult. Like it's so funny though.
This guy's probably he's working on his anthropology degree. Disgrace to the human race.
Oh my gosh, this movie's such a disgrace to the human race. We shouldn't even talk about it. So yeah,
sit back while I talk about it.
Yeah, review dropped 1 month ago yesterday. So,
well,
thank you, Yoto.
Well, I think Yoto and Deco 4, who's the writer of my Outside Insight, taken from the Internet Movie Database. I think they might be conspiring together. The tagline is the most pathetic movie ever. If I could give lower grade than 1, I would gladly do it. This is the most pathetic movie I have ever seen. I watched it in the 80s, and even then was no good.
It's the same movie, idiot.
But now, when I am much older, that movie doesn't make any sense. Like I said, the most pathetic movie ever, but that's just my opinion.
Nope, it's Yoto's opinion too.
It's also Yoto's.
I watched it in the 80s and it wasn't good then.
It wasn't good then, no. I watched it again hoping it would be different, and it was still bad.
Right. Let me tell you about Titanic. I'm really tired of that ending.
I watched it again hoping they'd make it.
The boat sank again.
Jack drowned again.
Right. Meanwhile, my favorite book series is Choose Your Own Adventure, where each time I read it, the ending is different.
Meets my expectations.
First time I read it page by page and it made no sense.
In sequential order.
How can the end be on the second page?
Turn to page 33. Jokes
I think not.
Scholastic.
Right. This book is a disgrace to the human race.
When I read it in the 80s.
Right. Last time I read this book, I didn't like it either. And I know my taste didn't change, but I hope the book would.
Finally, folks, we got our signature segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie in question. In this case, the Sam Raimi classic Evil Dead 2. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first good is I really enjoyed the stop motion animation in this movie.
Love it.
Grant, I love all the special effects in this movie, but especially like the Linda ballerina dancing scene was really the one that sticks in my head. Just because it's one thing, like they weren't even trying to make it look realistic. They were just having fun with it.
Yeah.
And it's such a refreshing thing to see, because you're trying to go for authenticity a lot of times, or you're trying to make your stop motion look as little like stop motion as possible. But here it's like, we want to do this. We want our Deadite to spin one way while the head spins the other, and stop motion is the way we're going to get it. So, and it worked, and I love it. My second one is just it's just all over the place chaos of the horror in this movie. It's just things like, I guess, like when we've got, Henrietta, I guess a perfect scene would be where you've got Ed levitating and Henrietta just slamming against the cellar door. It's just all the chaos, where you've got the clock doing its thing, and you got the deer head laughing, and you've got, the Three Stooges-esque scene with the hand and the trees pummeling the house. It's like, this isn't like, watch out for Freddy, watch out for Chucky, watch out for Leatherface. This is everything is coming. And it's just, I really like that, because it's not just we defeat this thing, we win. It's like, nope, you've killed how many Deadites, and they just keep coming. And I really enjoy that, because it does add, even though this movie's not scary, it does add a lot of tension of like, oh man, like, can you imagine being in their shoes where everything is loud and slamming and chaotic, and it's really effective. And my third good is Jake.
He was going to be a potential one for me.
It's such an awful character, but played so awfully.
Oh yeah, it's so great
that it does a 180 right back into, I love that guy.
Yeah, like you're kind of sad to see him go, and boy, he goes gruesomely as well.
Yes, he does. He does. And so those are my three goods. What do you got?
My three goods, I'm going to start with the off his rocker scene. It's right before the other characters show up, and the deer head, which is mounted on the wall, just it turns and looks at him and just starts laughing, and Oz just kind of or not Oz, Ash. You were there too, if you don't recall.
I was.
Ash was there, and Ash looks back at the demon and just kind of starts just blinking his eyes, like, "Is this really happening?"
Yeah,
and it's where I keep saying Oz.
I was on set that day.
I keep wanting to insert you into this movie.
It was my hand.
It was. And so, Ash is just losing it. He's just losing it. And all of the different objects in the living room start coming to life, and they're not attacking him. They're just they're laughing. They're trying to drive him insane. Like the demons have taken a break of trying to kill him, and they're just messing with him.
Yeah, and even Raimi uses like he like skews the film, like just skews the camera angle a little bit to where everything is just a little off, and it's just so good. I agree.
And every object that is moving around on screen has its own laugh, like the like the deer's like, and then the lamp is just like hee. I guess they asked like everyone who was on set that day, like we need you to laugh, do a funny laugh for us, and they used them, and it's
that's awesome. Yeah, it's like a fever trip of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
and it ends with like Ash is laughing along with them
at
one point, and it just turns into these cries of agony. He's like, ha 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 ha.
It's I love him. I love Bruce Campbell.
So that's my first. My second one is Ash's scream when Henrietta pops up in the cellar. It's just a shriek, and it's he just wow. I can't do it justice, but it's just this absolute high-pitched terror, just shriek that Ash gives. And that's really what kind of catches the other characters' attention, because at this point they still think Ash brutally killed Annie's parents, and then they realize, I think we may have just made a mistake here.
Yeah,
as they're listening to the recording upstairs about the demons, and then they hear Ash just shriek in the basement. So that's my second. My last one is just all of the sound effects and the noises, and just in all of Like the sounds they give to the demons, and like the hand has its own sounds.
Oh yeah, like it's a hand.
Yeah, and it has these little like mouse chirps to it, and, like, but everything has its own literal and figurative voice in the movie.
Yeah,
and it just adds to the characterizations. Like the hand is a character, like the POV demon is a character. It's so great.
The Foley artists really had their work cut out for them on this movie.
Yeah, and they did a wonderful job with it. So, Oz, what are your two bads for Evil Dead 2?
I mentioned it really early in the episode, but my first bad is just, I guess, the confusing rehash of a lot of the original plot.
Sure.
It just leads to some confusion, even as many times as we've seen it. We've already seen a movie where Ash and his friends go to a cabin, this cabin, and now we're seeing another movie where Ash and his girlfriend go to this cabin. So again, it's like, are you just redoing the first one, or it's like, so that there really is really my first bad, and it's nitpicky, of course, of just the lean in with. If we're already watching the sequel, we've probably seen the original, which means we're aware of the Kandarian, But again, this movie is, hey, here's some more people in a cabin, listening, reading, demons. It's like, so there is an undertone, even though the story goes a little different direction. There is that really underlying plot that is no different than the original. And my second is, aside from Jake and really Ash, just a lot of community theater level acting in this one. And granted, they were perfect for the roles they were in, and this movie wasn't trying to win any, major awards or anything like that. But, it's like the money was spent on the effects, and it shows, because even Jake, like, that role is acted terribly, but it fits because, and we've mentioned this in other episodes before, when all of the acting is amateur, then nobody stands out as bad or good. But collectively, like, the acting in this movie is terrible. But that's what makes it funny, too. Yeah. The sad thing is, I don't think they were trying to act terribly to be funny. Yeah. Which is why it's intentional or unintentionally funny. So those are my two bads. How about you?
Again, I love this movie, so my bads, like yours, will be very, very nitpicky.
Oh, same. Yeah.
My first one is, like, the ending with the time travel is just a little, like, okay. Like, they did seed that in just ever so briefly at one point in the movie as they're going through the Necronomicon. And there's a page in there. It's a figure that looks just a little bit like Ash. That's supposed to be back in, like the 13th century. So they did seed it in there. So it didn't come completely out of nowhere. But I don't know. It's a little disjointed of an ending. And it led directly into Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness, and blah, 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 and all that. But I don't know. I don't know what another way to end it would have been. But it was just, I don't know. Just blah enough.
Right.
My other,
I was saying, because it was a full 5 years before Army of Darkness. So, clearly there was an idea in place to continue on. Because it's like, otherwise, you ended this movie dumping Ash centuries before with so, like, you had to make a third one. Because that would have been a very unsatisfactory ending. But I'm with you. It's like, it's almost like you had the idea for the third movie, and then you just kind of shoehorned it into this one to make the third movie, make sense.
And it felt different from the rest of the movie.
Right. Even though, well, I guess it's more of a flashback, because I was like, even though the third movie starts out with him in the present time, like, he's working at S-Mart.
Shop smart. Shop S-Mart.
Right. Well, Bridget Fonda, isn't it?
Yeah, Bridget Fonda, I think, is Linda. So there's, like, different Lindas.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. So what's your second bad?
My second bad, I don't know. I'll just go with, I was having a good time with Bruce alone in the cabin, and then they introduced the other characters there.
I was too. Yeah, I'm with you.
But again, nitpicky, because without that, without the other characters, we don't get Jake, and we we don't get some of the other silliness there. But
right.
I was enjoying Bruce solo in the cabin, just fighting the demons and his own demons.
Yeah, I know, it was fun, and like I said earlier, I'd have watched a full hour and a half of that.
Yeah. So again, very nitpicky.
Yeah, whatever.
So Oz, what's your one for this movie?
I guess my and it is weird because, again, I'm building off the fact that we've already seen it. But in the first Evil Dead, Ash's girlfriend's name was Linda.
Mm-hmm.
In this Evil Dead, his girlfriend's name is Linda. So I guess my my original was, why did Ash go back to the cabin? But I guess my new is this girlfriend Linda the same girlfriend Linda from the first one?
Maybe he's got a thing for Lindas.
Yeah, or does he have a new girlfriend named Linda and decided to bring her back to this cabin for all the memories? I don't know.
Maybe her name's not actually Linda. He's just calling her Linda, and she likes him so much.
Maybe
she's just going along with it.
Now, kind of like, we joke that Mel Gibson has his Sheila, even though that's not her name. Maybe that's Ash's name for his girlfriend. You're my new Linda.
You're my Linda.
So I guess that's my is, why did he go back to the cabin, or is this the same Linda? I don't know.
Linda.
So, what about you? What's your
I'll throw my and then the real My pre is I think it's right after he's like decapitated, buried Linda. Like the piano starts playing, and he's looking at, and he picks up her locket, and he starts kind of crying to himself. It's like, you're not worried that the piano is just playing by itself. But my real is that going back to my second bad, the introduction of the other characters at the cabin, Ash, and building off one of my goods of the off the rocker scene. So Ash hears a knock at the door as all of the other things in the living room are laughing with him, and he fires a shot at it, and it kind of wings Bobby Joe, and so Ash goes to look, and then he backs up, so he's halfway into the room. And then Jake tackles him. Like he didn't see Jake coming.
Yeah.
But Jake would have had to have taken like 5 or 6 steps before he got to Ash.
You're right. That I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's bothered me every time I see this movie. Like, you didn't see him coming, Ash?
Yeah. Like he's standing in the middle of the room, like 10 feet away from the door, which Jake would have had to have run through to tackle Ash.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
This movie completely fell apart. I agree with you, Yoto. This movie's a disgrace to the human race.
Pathetic. It's as bad as what I saw it in the 80s.
Right. Oh, man, it's terrible. All right, folks. We've got one more week left in sequels better than the original, and it is your pick. Curtis, what movie are you bringing to the show next week?
Again, a choice some might deem to be controversial, and the first time we have dipped into this universe, Oz. Earlier in this month, we made our first foray into the MCU. We made it over a year into this podcast.
We did.
We have also made it over a year before we have dipped into the Star Wars landscape, and Oz, we are going to dip our pen in that ink as we bring The Empire Strikes Back to next week's episode.
Excellent choice.
Sequel better than A New Hope, better than Episode 4.
Yeah, and we're sticking with that original timeline because it's really hard to argue. Like, I know like Phantom Menace is a prequel, but timeline-wise, but like chronologically it came out after, but no, there's no argument there. But no, with this one, it is a direct sequel to A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. It'll be a good conversation too. I'm already looking forward to it.
Yep. And then, yes, as you said, that's closing out the month. So we will have a new month after that.
Yep, and it shouldn't surprise you when you hear what it is for February. If you're a longtime listener of the show, it won't surprise you. And so, for another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
You could find us on social media. You can leave your comments, suggestions, everything you want. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we'll be back next week with Empire Strikes Back. You guys have a good rest of your week.